Now, for more on the significance of McCarthy's becoming House Speaker, let's go to Joseph Williams. He is a former senior editor at U.S. News. Joseph, thanks very much for coming and chatting with us. Look, this week it's got a lot of play on the late night talk shows, the comedy shows, and some Democrats taking popcorn into the chamber, but there was nothing funny about this. Where does it leave the U.S. in terms of trying to move forward the next 2 years in running the country?
I think what you saw in the course of the Speaker's vote was a sneak preview about where we're going as a country, particularly when one leg of the government is so openly dysfunctional that they can't do something as simple as elect a speaker. Mind you, this was supposed to be an easy thing for them to do. Choose a leader and then move on with the business of the country. Now, it took 4 days, 15, 16 votes for them to choose a guy who has basically given away a large chunk of his power. So you kind of have to ask, for what end? I mean, why was this so important that McCarthy would do this to be beholden to these small group of upstarts that are basically going to be running the country, or at least running one house of Congress for the next 2.5 years? It boggles the mind, and it's not a good omen at all. Several people have said it's not a good look, and that's an understatement.
Yeah, and let's talk about this group. They call themselves the Freedom Caucus, roughly 10, 20 people who now can really throw sand in the gears, if you will, trying to operate the U.S. government. Tell us a bit about what people should be concerned about. Let's talk about the debt ceiling, things of that nature, trying to push through controversial measures. If the Speaker is trying to cut a deal with the Democrats, all of this could go away in a snap.
In a snap. One of the reasons why they opposed McCarthy so much is that he was willing to stay on the rational side of the aisle and vote for things that were in the best interest of the country, raising the debt ceiling, funding the government. All of that is definitely at risk, where you have a small coterie of backbenchers, ostensibly, who their main obstacle, their main objective rather, is to shut down government and make it small. So we will see a fight over the debt ceiling. We will see a fight over funding government. We will, in all likelihood, see a government shutdown and the risk of a default and the United States credit rating taking a nosedive. Those are all very highly likely possibilities. And because he's given away so much power, McCarthy is virtually powerless to do anything about it. But I want to get one other point in really quickly, and that is that the majority of these 20 backbenchers, these Freedom Caucus folks, not only did they vote not to certify the election, they were Donald Trump's handpicked election deniers. They are going to be heading powerful committees. They are also going to be conducting investigations of the White House and of the Homeland Security Agency that will all but cripple some of those functions. So in addition to having a really big problem ahead of us looming with functioning of the government, we're going to have a bunch of sideshows where there'll be some speechifying and witnesses called that have nothing to do with the business of the American people.
You know, Joseph, also, it's been a while since we've seen a Republican in power sort of coddle former President Donald Trump, which is what McCarthy did last night, going to great lengths to praise him for continuing to stick by his side. What do you think that means for Trump's reelection? And just tell us the winners and losers real quickly in all of this.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, McCarthy definitely is a winner, but very much a damaged one. Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, they're all winners. Donald Trump, it's too early to tell, mainly because McCarthy and Trump were crossing swords after the insurrection. You recall that McCarthy said it was very shameful what happened, and yet 2 weeks later he went down and bent knee at Trump's beckoning at Mar-a-Lago. So winners and losers are still being sorted out. Trump, his status undetermined at this point.